Hey everyone, I wanted to share with you some yogic philosophy from the Bhagavad Gita. Many of us are not familiar with this philosophical text, but I'll tell you, um, it can really enlighten us as far as how to practice. I'm thinking of this, especially in terms of trauma-sensitive yoga. So I'm looking at this chapter, and it's called the Yoga of Action. And in it, one of the last lines in the chapter talks about what the self is comprised of. And I think this is particularly helpful for those of us who are developing that ability to choose, to make choices. Listen, if you will, if you'd like, to this particular verse. It says, "The senses are stronger than the body. The mind is stronger than the senses. The discriminating intellect is stronger than the mind. And the what's called the Atman is above the intellect." So I just want to kind of give a breakdown of what this is saying. So basically, it's saying that there's many ways to think of the human self. And in this particular text, it talks about the self being comprised of 5 aspects. The foundation is the body. That's the first one, and that's what we're working on with when we're practicing yoga. We're working with the body. And it says here that the senses are stronger than the body. So our senses referring to our eyes, what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell. These senses are actually stronger than the body. And, we tend to think of our body as where our strength comes from, or we think of like somebody with big muscles. But actually, our senses are actually stronger than the muscles of our body, according to this particular text. It's something worth thinking about, that our senses, what we perceive with our ears, the sounds that come and go, our nose, the smell, the taste, and sight, those senses are stronger than our physical body, no matter how much we lift weights or get, really bulked up or anything like that. But then it says the mind is stronger than the senses. So our mind is something that reaches inside into our body when we're doing yoga. Our mind is what helps us to become aware of what we're sensing, the sensations in our body. So for example, I'm using my mind to enter into an experience of my legs. So my legs might be connected to the floor here, and I can feel the contact between where my legs meet the ground. I feel that sensation. And that's the result of my mind at work. My mind is kind of going into my legs and feels it. Or in another way to see this is like when I open my hand and close it, there's a sensation there. And if I'm aware of that sensation, that's my mind at work. That's my mind working. Now, the next one it says here is that the discriminating intellect is stronger than the mind. So there's something even stronger than the mind, and that is the discriminating intellect. And this is the point that's really particularly important for trauma-sensitive yoga, because what we're doing is developing the ability to choose how we want to have our body in the context of yoga. So, for example, I'm using my mind to feel the lifting of my arm up, and I can bring it over my head to the side, or I can bring it straight up. And when I decide to bring it straight up towards the ceiling, I'm employing discriminating intellect here. I've made a conscious decision I've made a conscious decision to reach my arm up towards the ceiling rather than towards the wall. All right, that's my intellect, my discriminating intellect working, or another word for using choice to lift my arm up. All right. And then the last piece is this Atman. The Atman is above the intellect. Well, that gets into yogic philosophy much more deeply. And just for our sake, this Atman is kind of referring to the memory in our over that passes through time. Memory that passes through time. So in the course of a yoga class, your body develops memory. Okay, I did this at the beginning, and then I moved to this, and your muscles remember how they feel or how they felt. They store memory in them. So anyways, this is my interpretation of this particular verse in the Bhagavad Gita, this yogic philosophical text, also a religious text. But I think it can help to shed some light on ways of understanding the self. And that's what yoga is all about. So thanks for listening.